I should have trusted my instincts the moment I saw their smiles. There's something wrong about a grin that stretches too wide, that doesn't fade even when the eyes remain completely still. I had rented an Airbnb in a quiet rural town, far from the city noise. The pictures showed a cozy old house, wooden floors, lace curtains, and a fireplace, exactly the kind of solitude I thought I needed. The host described it as family-owned for generations, which sounded harmless enough. But when I arrived, I realized the family still lived there. The ad hadn't mentioned that. The father greeted me first. His skin was pale, stretched tight across sharp cheekbones, and his teeth, too many of them, were visible even when his mouth was at rest. He introduced himself in a voice that cracked with something I couldn't place. His wife appeared behind him, with hair falling in tangled strands across her face, and a boy, no older than 10, peeked around her waist. All three were smiling, wide, unbroken. "Welcome," the father said. His lips didn't move much, but his grin never faltered. "We've been waiting for you." At first, I laughed nervously, assuming it was just awkward hospitality. They showed me to my room upstairs. The house was older than the photos let on. Every step groaned beneath my weight. The wallpaper peeled in corners, revealing black stains underneath, almost like burn marks. The boy stood silently in the hallway as I unpacked, just watching me. I asked his name. He only tilted his head, smile locked in place, before disappearing into a room I later realized was empty. That night, as I tried to sleep, I heard them moving downstairs. The creak of chairs, whispers too faint to understand, then laughter. Soft at first, then louder, like dozens of voices overlapping. But when I peeked out my window, I saw only the three of them in the yard, holding hands, heads tilted toward the sky, as if listening to something I couldn't hear. I told myself I was imagining things. Old houses make sounds, families can be eccentric, and maybe I was just overtired from the trip. But then, around midnight, I woke to the sound of scratching at my door. Slow, deliberate, nails dragging against wood. I froze, barely breathing. The scratching stopped. Then, in the silence, I heard it. 3 distinct breaths outside my room, steady and synchronized, like they were leaning close, waiting for me to open the door. I didn't. I stayed perfectly still until dawn, when sunlight finally spilled through the window and the noises stopped. When I came downstairs for breakfast, they were already at the table, smiling. Plates were set out for 4, though none of them had touched their food. The father gestured for me to sit, and the boy, without breaking eye contact, whispered for the first time since I'd arrived, "You should have left last night." I wanted to leave that morning. Every nerve in my body screamed that I should, but my phone had no signal, and when I asked about Wi-Fi, the father simply chuckled. "We don't believe in such things here." His smile never wavered. None of theirs did. I told them I'd go into town to grab supplies, but the mother shook her head before I even finished the sentence. "The road is closed," she said. Her voice was soft, almost melodic, but final. "You'll stay with us." I knew something was wrong then, deeply wrong. But I couldn't just pack up and run, not with the way they stood there, watching me, like they were waiting for me to try. That evening, the house grew unbearably cold, though the fireplace blazed. I stayed in my room, door locked, lights on, pretending to read while listening to their movements below. The laughter came again, high-pitched giggles from the boy, joined by deeper chuckles from the parents, all blending together until it didn't sound like 3 people at all. It sounded like dozens. I finally gathered the courage to peek through the crack in my door. What I saw made my stomach turn. They weren't just sitting around the table. They were standing in a circle, hands clasped, heads bent backward, mouths open wider than humanly possible. From their throats came not just laughter, but a chorus of voices, male, female, child, old, rising and falling in some twisted harmony. I stumbled back, heart pounding. My foot hit the floorboard with a sharp creak. Instantly, the sound stopped. The house went silent. I pressed my ear to the door, and that's when I heard it. Bare feet padding slowly up the stairs, one set, then another, then a third. They moved in unison, perfectly in sync, until they stopped outside my room. I held my breath, praying they'd go away. Instead, the boy's voice came from the other side, quiet and flat. "You're one of us now." I grabbed my backpack and shoved what I could inside. If I stayed, I knew I'd never leave. My window overlooked the yard, maybe an 8-foot drop. painful, but survivable. I slid it open slowly, the night air hitting my face, freezing and sharp. I was halfway out when I heard the doorknob turn. Click. They hadn't knocked. They hadn't asked. They were just coming in. I jumped. The landing jolted up my legs, but I ran, sprinting across the yard and into the trees. The snow crunched beneath my boots, the cold slicing my lungs with every breath. I didn't dare look back at first. I just ran. But when I finally glanced over my shoulder, I saw them, all three, standing in the doorway, smiling, and somehow, impossibly, their faces were closer than they should have been, as if the distance between us wasn't real anymore. I ran deeper into the forest, branches clawing at my jacket, snow soaking through my boots. The trees all looked the same, black silhouettes against a pale, endless night. My lungs burned, my legs screamed, but I didn't stop, because every time I slowed, I heard it. Footsteps, not hurried, not stumbling, perfectly steady, perfectly synchronized, 3 sets of feet crunching snow in unison. No matter how far I went, they were always just behind me. I reached a clearing and finally dared to look back. Nothing. The doorway was gone, the house swallowed by the trees. For a moment, relief washed over me. Maybe I had outrun them. Then I noticed the footprints. In the snow, behind me, 3 sets appeared, fresh, sharp, right on my trail. But when I turned my head, no one was there. The forest was empty, silent. Only the wind moved, and even then it sounded like laughter carried through the branches. I wanted to scream, but the cold air stole my voice. My only thought was to keep moving. If I found the road, maybe I could hitch a ride, find anyone who could help. Hours passed, or maybe minutes, I couldn't tell. The forest bent on itself, paths repeating, trees shifting, and then through the falling snow, I saw it. A light, warm, golden, flickering like a lantern. I staggered toward it, half delirious, whispering, "Please, please." But as I drew closer, my blood froze. It wasn't a lantern. It was the window of the house, the same Airbnb, the same front door, the same 3 figures waiting in the doorway, smiling wider than before, their teeth catching the glow like shards of glass. I had run in a circle. I backed away, but the boy stepped forward, his head tilted unnaturally to the side, eyes locked on me. "Why are you running?" he asked, his voice overlapping with a chorus of whispers. "You already live here." I turned and bolted again, not caring where my legs carried me, but no matter which way I went, the forest spat me back out into the yard. Again and again, the house was there, waiting, and each time they were closer. The last time, I didn't even make it out of the trees before I felt their presence. I froze. The forest went utterly silent. Then, one by one, hands gripped my shoulders from behind. Cold, bony fingers dug into my skin. I didn't turn. I couldn't. The boy's voice was right at my ear now, though I never saw him move. "You'll stay with us forever." The world went black. I don't remember hitting the ground. I don't remember sleeping. I only remember waking, inside the house, the same room, the same bed, my things neatly placed where I had left them, like I had never tried to leave at all. I can still hear them downstairs, laughing in that twisted harmony. And when I look in the mirror, I swear my smile lingers just a little too long.
Subscribe